Welcome to the educational research section of www.happynumbers.org. This is the introduction to educational research, and this is Epistemology 101, Introduction to Knowing. In this first video, not necessarily so much, but in other in future videos, a lot of the information is taken from the Macmillan and Schumacher text, Research in Education, Evidence-Based Inquiry, and appears in the New Yorker, and you have the ISBN number there, and it's an excellent introductory text. And again, I'm not selling textbooks or anything, but just for academic honesty, I want to cite where some of this information is coming from. Okay, so let's take a look at epistemology. The word epistemology, by the way, ology obviously means the study of. In epistemology is knowledge, so the study of knowledge, or how we know things. How we know things. So, how do we know things? I want you to take a minute and think in terms of affecting teaching methodologies or strategies. Now, these are teaching methodologies or strategies. And think about, I'm going to ask you to put the DVD or video on pause. I want you to think about and actually make a list on a piece of paper of what things you know sort of for sure. What you know pretty much for sure works in terms of methodologies and strategies. And then next to it or underneath it, how do you know that you know this? In other words, so you might say, oh, well, I know such and such works. Well, then how do you know that it does that? Make a list of those things. So put this on pause and go ahead and make your list, and then turn it back on again and we'll have a discussion. Well, okay, let's take a look at some traditional or different ways that we know things. I mean, we know things by tradition, from what authorities tell us about things, our common sense or our experiences, or our sensory input or perceptions. These two may be basically the same. We can know stuff like logical analysis, maybe extrasensory perception. Some people feel that they've have insight by extrasensory perception, or faith may be another way of knowing things. These are all ways traditionally that we know stuff. And all of them present problems for us. They don't really give us good, reliable information. Take tradition. Take tradition. Take the example of the monkeys. 5 monkeys in a cage. I'm going to tell this story quickly because 5 monkeys in a cage. There's a bench, there's a banana hanging from a string, and there's a stick. Well, one monkey realizes, well, maybe if I push this bench over underneath the banana and get the stick, I can knock it down. And so he gets the bench and he pushes it over, and as soon as he does that, the researchers who are observing the 5 monkeys spray the entire cage with cold water. And so all the monkeys get all upset, and they're running around and screaming and hollering. And a day or so later, the monkey gets the idea again and tries it out again, and the same exact thing happens. And the researchers spray the monkey again, and all the monkeys are going crazy. Well, this happens several more times, and over time, pretty soon, any time a monkey gets a bench and pushes it over under the banana, gets the stick, all the other monkeys are going to jump on that monkey and prevent them, because they know they're going to get an adverse effect of water spraying on them. Well, one monkey dies, and the researchers put a new monkey in the cage. And the new monkey, of course, tries it, gets the bench, and the other 4 monkeys jump, and it's all hollering and screaming. And that happens 1 or 2, 3, 4 times. Pretty soon, that new monkey learns not to get the bench or anything. Now, let's assume the other 4 monkeys, one by one, all die, and new monkeys come in. Well, every one of those new monkeys will learn not to get the bench or the stick, but they will never be sprayed with the water. So it's a matter of things have always been, so now there are 5 new monkeys in that cage. None of them will go near the bench or the stick, but none of them have ever experienced the initial incident. Why? So it's a matter of tradition. So tradition can lead us not necessarily always give us good, reliable information. Obviously, reliance on authorities is not that good. You can always get an authority to say this, and then you can find another 3 authorities that will say exactly the opposite. Our common sense experiences and our sensory input and perceptions, well, they are notoriously not very good. I mean, eyewitnesses to crimes are one of the poorest witnesses to have because many people can see the same event and have very different stories. Sensory input, well, there's optical illusions. There's the hypnotist who has a person with holding a pencil and it tells them that this is a hot rod, and the person actually develops a blister, even though it was a simple pencil they were holding. Extrasensory perception, well, we're not quite sure. That's considered a non-consensus reality right now. Faith is another way. But there are so many different beliefs in the world about what is the true belief that it becomes difficult to distinguish. So our familiar sources of gathering information tend to be unreliable, and we need information that is valid and reliable. And so in this course, we are using the scientific method as the means to interpret reality and give us valid and reliable information. And the scientific method is a systematic examination of phenomenon, behavior, using verifiable procedures, and that's important, and which is subject to peer review, subject to replication. So for this course, not for your life or anything like that, but for this course, we're going to ask you to suspend these ways of knowing and to learn about the scientific method. And let's take a look here at some of the assumptions that underlie the scientific method. And of course, no science can really prove its underlying assumptions, but it starts out with a set of underlying assumptions. And the scientific method starts out with the assumptions that the world is real, it's material, and it's knowable. We can measure it. There is a real world out there. It's material. We can wrap our heads and arms around it. We can measure it. The events in the world have identifiable material causes. There's a cause and effect relationship in the world. That's another assumption of the scientific method. Everyday experiences, our logical analysis are not enough to really understand reality. Everyday experiences, tradition, our sensory inputs, all of these do not necessarily give us good, valid, and reliable information. Systematic inquiry, experimentation, or the scientific method is the best way to understand the world. It's the best way to get valid, reliable information. Finally, and I know this goes quickly, but you can always put the DVD or video on pause and take notes and things like that. So, and then you can actually drag it back and review if you wish to. So, here are characteristics of educational research. It's characterized by objectivity. It's unbiased, open-minded, objective. Data collection and analysis are very clear, valid, reliable, and reproducible. That's critical. Educational research is characterized by precision, clear, concise, replicable. Verification. Results can be confirmed by others. It's open to peer review. It's characterized by parsimony, or KISS, keep it simple, stupid. It's looking for the most simple and elegant explanations, complex realities reduced to their simplest form. It's based on empiricism, evidence. Empiricism means evidence, inquiry-based evidence gained by scientific methodologies. Logical reasoning, it's based on logical reasoning. Deductive, okay, you're stepping down from general theory down to specific things, or inductive, from specific observations, data collection up to general theories like Darwin, okay, Sherlock Holmes, and conditional conclusions. Scientific research is based on conditional conclusions. Scientific research does not prove anything. It does not prove anything. I can't state this enough. It makes probabilistic statements, such as we can say with 99% accuracy that such and such caused such and such. So it makes conditional statements, probability statements, but it does not prove anything. Well, okay, that's an introduction to what this course is about. It's about taking a different look at traditional ways of understanding reality, putting aside our assumptions about tradition and common sense and sensory input and things like that, and relying on the scientific method with its systematic way of gathering information about the world, analyzing that information, and then having a peer review of conclusions drawn about that. Well, okay, thank you very much. We'll see you next time.